Hey guys, it's Merce. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees. There's a different background today. I'm on location at a cemetery here in Berlin. I can't remember the name of the cemetery, but I will put it around somewhere here. The cemetery is extremely beautiful. It starts off with more of its modern graves, and then as you go into the back, it starts to get older and older and older. And right here in this area is a mausoleum that has been emptied for some reason. And you can see that there are, there's shelves that would go here and for, statues and things like that. And there is a dirt floor that is a false floor actually. It's made of wood and underneath it is just dirt. So where the bodies have gone, no one knows. Maybe they'll make an appearance. Okay, so I'm doing a ghost story challenge for the Spooktober challenge. It was challenge number 4, which is for Stacy's stories. She was doing this with some other booktubers, and which was really fun and awesome, but I just couldn't participate for the other ones. I didn't have any time. But for this one, I was like, what better place to tell a ghost story than in a cemetery? And since I was going to be here anyway, just to do some filming for cemetery reading, I thought, why not? So to start off for my ghost story, this happened in 2016, I believe, maybe 2017. I was living in Poughkeepsie, New York. I was renting a room, and there were 3 other people who lived in this building, but I rarely saw them, and that's because the building was actually kind of large. It was built in the 1850s. It used to be a mansion that was built for someone's daughter after she got married as a gift, and then through the years, I think the last specific thing that it was used for was as a group home for boys. The thing about this building that I liked was that it was an old building, because I love old buildings. It's just something I feel very comfortable with, and I've always just felt at home inside of them. But this building definitely had a odd feeling, and it had that feeling that everyone describes as, I feel like someone's watching me, like you're never really alone. Which is weird because you were really alone. I never saw my roommates. I mean, every once in a while we'd run into each other in the kitchen or in the parking garage or something, but we just never saw each other. It's very strange. And it was so quiet for like 4 people living there. I mean, it sounded like it was like a graveyard. It was so quiet. So the room that I had was just a very small room. It was probably the size of this times 2. It was very small. We shared a kitchen, we shared a bathroom, and the first week that I moved in, these very strange and unusual things began to happen. So the first occurrence of something strange happening was, of course, the feeling of not being alone. The second thing was that the stairs seemed to creak a lot. And I used to think that it was the wind, because it can be very windy in Poughkeepsie, and we were right by the water. So I thought that it was just the wind pushing and making some pressure onto the house and constructing the wood or whatever. But it would happen when it wasn't windy. But because it's an old house, I just kind of didn't really think about it. Old houses make noises. The next thing that started to happen for a couple nights in a row was I didn't really own a lot of things because I had to move from one location, and I just had gotten rid of a bunch of stuff and just really wanted to be living minimal for a while, so I didn't have that much stuff. So in my room there was this sound that kept sounding like something was being hit on the floor. I thought, it sounds like a cable. Maybe there's a rat in the wall or something like that. But when I would get up the next morning, I checked all of the cables, and they were all tucked into the walls with those little plastic, I don't know what they are. You push them into the wall to keep them organized and against the wall. There was no way that there was anything out, like a cord, that could be making that sound. it happened the next night, and it happened the next night, and it just was like really just so intense that I was like looking around the house. I was trying to see if there was something behind that wall, if there was someone had a pet, if I don't know, I couldn't figure it out. But the only thing that was on the other side of my wall was like, it was a locked door that I couldn't get into, and my landlord just said that it was storage. So there was no way that I was getting in there for any reason. And I didn't really want to tell him because I thought that there was a mouse or something. It just seemed funny, and I just didn't want to make him open that door for that. But that was like really, really weird. So the last thing that happened was I had a dream. And I know a dream is not a house haunting, but the dream was that I was laying in bed at night and that two men had their hands holding my arms down in the bed, so like this. And I couldn't really see them, but I could feel their hands on me, holding me really tightly, and it hurt, and it kind of vibrated, and they were holding me down, and I couldn't move. And in the darkness above my bed, and like behind a type of veil, I guess. I say a veil because I couldn't see it. I just knew that there was this shape or this presence that was above me, and it was like a black hole, and it was turning. And my concept was that these men were holding me down so that I have to interface with this thing, or I'd have to go into it, or something. I don't know. I was so scared, and I started screaming in my dream, and I woke up screaming, and it was like the only time in my life that I had woken up from a dream still screaming. I was horrified, and I felt, I don't know, it was one of the worst dreams I had ever had. And then after that, everything stopped. It's hard to explain. I mean, the stairs were still creaky, but there was no longer this like sound at night in my room that sounded like things were, being like moved around or thrown on the ground or something. That's completely stopped. The feeling of being watched and not being alone was definitely still there, but I don't know, after that was it. And I don't know if those things are necessarily supernatural. I mean, we can say like there could be a million reasons why those things are happening, and dreams are just dreams, but I don't know, that house definitely had a strange energy and a strange vibe, and I'll never forget it. I did try to do some research on the house, but I really couldn't find much. I think I found out like who owned it when it was first built. I think they were actually named after the street that we lived on. But I couldn't find out anything about it being a group home or if anything had happened there. I do know that the basement was extremely scary. It looked like a crypt. It was really scary. It had, some hallways in it that went into different rooms, probably used as storage or root cellars back in the day, but it was definitely creepy, and it did not feel good, and did not like living there at all. Kind of a depressing place to be as well. So I don't know. So that's my ghost story. I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope that you check out my other video for this cemetery because it was really, really cool. So thanks for hanging out with me in the cemetery today here in Berlin. I hope you're having a great weekend, and I will talk to you next time.